So since I published the book, I haven't really had enough forums to discuss the information that's presented in the Magdalene, Temple of the Divine Feminine. And it's such the premise, the base of all the teachings that the Magdalene channels through me. And I know for many people who are either just finding me or just finding Mary Magdalene, there's so much information out there. And I just feel like this is an opportunity to share and to discuss what we know, and also what hopefully you've all read the book, what interpretations came through to you from reading the book, and understandings, and just to form a basis for the rest of the classes and the work that's being done on the earth. So that's my intention, to share and to, she's saying to me, and inspire, inspire each of us as Magdalenes. We're here, we're all Magdalenes in our own work and finding our own truth. So before I even start, let me just ask everyone, is there any questions about what this course is, or what just basic information that you need to know before I get into some of what I want to talk about today? No? Okay. All right. So I know it's like I feel like there's if you have one question, you have like 100 questions, because it's just one thing leads to another. So, and I just want to reiterate that this course, this study is based on the book that I channel. So I know there's so much information out there, and there's so many different stories out there. I can only speak to what I know and what the Magdalene has shared with me. And I'm going to read a message from her for each of you. She says, I welcome you to this new course. It is the study of all that I am about at present, of all that I seek to teach. I would encourage each of you to spend time in the quiet as I present my teachings. A daily practice is necessary so that you may integrate the new coding that is present. We begin this day with an invitation to each of you. You have each been called here to receive these words, to receive the energetic vibration of love, and to begin a new life through the awakening of the mind's eye. I would expand you so that you may come to know and understand who you are. There are many who have shared my teachings, many who would seek to aid in presenting to the world a new life, an expansive and abundant one. Each of you who hears my words carries a story within you, a story that is yet to be told. I invite you now to hear this one and to allow it to expand and awaken you to your true knowing. You have been held locked tight, hidden away by the forces that lie about you, forces of darkness and manipulation. I say to you now that this is the time of your awakening, so that you may see your truth as a child of the light. This is a new course that will aid you in this remembrance. Hear my words and know that they are words of truth. They will touch you in new ways. They will draw forth from within your cellular memory a deep knowing of these truths that I speak. Remember me now. Allow me entrance in, and together we will walk. So I'm going to begin speaking about the introduction in the Magdalene, Temple of the Divine Feminine. And I highlighted all the words or phrases that the Magdalene used, and I wondered, why did she say that? what does that mean? There's a hidden meaning behind that. So all the questions that I had, so in a very selfish way, I said, and I have researched over the years, and I've read other people's work, and some information resonates with me and some doesn't. But I want to read the very beginning of this introduction, and some of the things that terms that she uses that I feel have strong significance, and what I feel that they mean. And I'd love to hear from each of you if you have more information or a knowing about some of it. So her introduction was shocking to me, and I almost didn't want to include it. She said, "I was born beneath the star of Bethlehem. At the time of my birth, there was a star alignment that is often spoken of in regard to the Christ structure and the Master Yeshua. Few know that on December 25th, I entered the earth as a descendant of the Book of Life through the star system Sirius. Together we were destined to walk as one, to unite the factions of the earth." So, and I think she meant it to be strong and shocking. And just, what? What do you mean you were born on December 25th, not Yeshua, and under the star of Bethlehem? Like, she's claiming her place as the feminine Christ in that statement. And I sat with that. I can't even tell you, when I channeled so much of this book, I had to sit with and ask her over and over and ask her to rephrase. And she was so strong. In the end, I've spoken about it before. I gave up, because she's so strong and persistent in her ways of what she wants to say and how it needs to be said and what she wants to convey. And so for this class, I did some research, and I had in the past, but I found my old notes and researched the Star of Bethlehem and what people today think that the Star of Bethlehem is. And I'm not an astrologer. I don't claim to have any strong knowledge other than, the people that I follow. But there's one woman that I really, really love. Her name is Tricia McCannon, and she's written, which, if you guys really want to explore things, she wrote the book, Jesus, The Explosive Story of the 30 Lost Years in the Ancient Mystery Religions. And she's actually presenting at that summit, the Magdalene Summit, this weekend. I love her. I love her books. I love her information. She's just brilliant. I actually studied with her, went to see her in Georgia when she was, I don't know if she's still in Georgia, but she's an astrologer, but she's a mystic, and she just has so much knowledge. She does courses all over. But she has an entire chapter, maybe 2 chapters, on what the Star of Bethlehem possibly could have been. And she has had a couple of her favorite theories based on what she knew of the stars. And one of them, and so now this is me going in my direction of what resonated. And I felt like the Magdalene, was nodding her head in agreement with the information, some of the information that I'm presenting. Tricia McCannon presents that it was, and many others present that it could possibly be a conjunction of Venus and Mercury, because of the brightness of the sky during that period of time. She also says that it lasted many months. And this is what Tricia McCannon says. She says, so Venus, of course, Venus is very much connected to the Queen of Heaven, Isis. And the conjunction is said to mean a harbinger of blessings. And Mercury is connected to the god Thoth. Somebody in. The god Thoth was god of wisdom. And there's a book called the Book of Hiram that discovered the significance of the Shekinah, which is what this conjunction is called, the Shekinah. They found the significance when investigating archaeological sites in the British Isles, and they found an alignment of the goddess temple sites with that conjunction, those planets. And it was also known to be awaited by Druids, by astronomers in Egypt, and Magi in Persia. So this took place just before dawn in the eastern sky. And that first house is said to be the god of light, said to mean that the god of light has arrived on earth to proclaim a message of unconditional love and wisdom. So I took what Tricia McCannon was saying about the possible birth of Jesus on December 25th, and I'm just shifting it to Mary Magdalene because she tells me that she was born on December 25th. And then Tricia McCannon goes on to talk about other conjunctions connected to the awaiting of a Messiah, a leader in the coming months. So I don't know, that was fascinating to me. And I'm just presenting to you all of that. Most importantly, that she's saying, I was awaited too. There was a significance to my birth, and those in the mystery schools knew that this alignment in the sky was foretelling of just what I said, of a God of light to proclaim a message of unconditional love and wisdom. So does anybody have anything they want to say about that? Any other interpretations of the Star of Bethlehem? Anything that they know in their studies? So for those of you, this is all brand new to you, and you know the Mary Magdalene of the New Testament, or maybe you don't know Mary Magdalene at all. I know that this is just as she said, this is going to expand you in your idea of who she is. And that's the purpose of this class.
Mary?
Yeah?
Is she saying that Jesus was not born on December 25th? That's been...
Yes.
He was not.
And that's, Barb, that's pretty, when I do my research, a lot of academics and not just academics, what's the word? Like even in the religious, they don't truly necessarily believe that Jesus was born on December 25th. They know that there's lots of different, because over the centuries, it was, I believe it was celebrated on different days, the birth of Christ. So that's not new. That's not something I'm just, what's new is Mary Magdalene saying I was born on December 25th. And I don't know. I think she just wants us all to go, what? Because that's what I did when I wrote it.
I am blown, because that means that the early church fathers completely covered her with Jesus.
Yes. Oh. Right. And that's yeah. But yeah, completely. And that's what she's, one of the first words she ever spoke to me was like, my name has been torn asunder. They sought to diminish me and toss me. She said so many things, and so many people, channels and people like Margaret Starbird and who write on this, they know, like, she was hidden. She's the Black Madonna, the hidden feminine. But she was particularly born into a dark time period, and the patriarchy and all of that. So yeah.
Can I say something? I was 12 years of Catholic schooling, and the only thing I knew about Mary Magdalene was they told us in school that she was a prostitute. And she was there were one day they were throwing rocks at her, and then Jesus came and said, stop, don't throw rocks. He was saying that, those of you, I think, who have never sinned, should not throw the rock or something. There was that saying. Yeah. But that's all I knew, is that she was a prostitute. So right away, as a young kid, for me, Mary Magdalene had a negative a negative idea in my head. So I never heard about her afterwards.
And I
then my
think,
mother said
and to
it-
this day, like, I mean, that was actually very quietly, but came out within the Catholic churches in the 60s that they made a mistake, and that was like Pope Gregory or somebody who just kind of speculated, and then they took it and ran. But for the 60s, so 50 some odd, 60 some odd years. And it's still being taught, and there's movies being made about it. But yeah. But she's claiming her place, in that opening statement. And my Catholic self did not want to include that, because I knew, and that's exactly why she opened with it. I knew it was controversial, but I in my wildest dreams, I would never make that up. And I should say too, that for people who don't know me, well, it doesn't even matter if you know me. I grew up Catholic, and I had knowledge of, and I studied the Gnostic Gospels as I began down like the more spiritual path, and started moving away really from some of the dogma of the Catholic Church. And then I started exploring other, channels and information. But prior to writing this book, I really didn't have a lot of information. And once she came to me, I stopped researching. That was like 2013. I stopped because I felt like she was telling me to come to know her as she is, and I didn't want to be clouded by other people's ideas and thoughts of who she is. So, and luckily enough for me too, when I read and I research it, I read it and then it goes out of my head. I don't, maybe that's part of the plan, but I didn't really have any preconceptions. And I never really was taught, even though, I didn't go to Catholic school, I wasn't really taught that she was suppressed. Maybe I subconsciously knew that, but I don't know. But I knew that nobody talked about her being awaited by the Magi, or the significance of all that December. And then she talks about the Book of Life. So the Book of Life is the Akashic records, and so she's stating that this was part of I don't really know. Lori, you do the Akashic records. I guess she's basically saying, like, as a descendant of that, she was that this was her awaited time, that this is part of the divine plan. The Book of Records, the Book of Life in the Jewish tradition is said to be like the list of all ancestors that have been born, and to you want to be to do good, and to be in the Book of Life. But it really, it's the Akashic records. So and she comes through the star system Sirius, which again, I'm just kind of broadly saying the star system Sirius is connected with the Ascended Masters. It's connected with Isis, connected with the Blessed Mother, Horus, Jesus. There's a significance of the star system Sirius with the temples in Egypt. And we just passed on July 23rd, that Sun's Earth's Sirius alignment. And all the Egyptian temples, including the Sphinx, are aligned with that, with Sirius. If any of you know Drumvala Melchizedek, he talks about Sirius. And I took some notes, and I'll send these to you. He talks, so there's Sirius A, and then there's Sirius B. So Sirius A is the one that's the main one that's connected to the Ascended Masters. And so again, this is all stuff that I was like, what are you saying? Mary Magdalene's like from another star? Like, that was, I don't know if it's brand new for any of you, but it was brand new to me to think about all. And I took a long time to really come to terms with that that they are beings from the stars, that we are beings from the stars, that we're connected to the stars. So
So you know what I always wonder? Everybody does these ancestry DNA. I was joking this weekend with my family. I said, well, if I do it, are they going to say that I'm from Sirius,
I know
or the
we
genetic,
need to, I
does
know.
it go back that far?
Well, maybe they can, continue to refine that testing. They keep getting closer and closer. I like know what town I'm from now in Ireland, so maybe they can get closer. I know, it's true. Yeah, you totally accept it, Anne. I think most of us, if you're drawn to be here today, most of us have already come to an understanding of it, or like a curiosity about it, but I my plan was this to be a basic, she calls it the basic skills course. So so for some of us, this might be brand new, but she wants you to know this. She's not from here. She came through the star system, Sirius. And what I was going to tell you about Dervola Melchizedek is that he did all this research. He talks about the connection with the Ascended Masters. Where did he go to? He went to what other well, anyway, he the Dogons, Africa, I guess it was Africa, and he found all these, there's in this cave, this ancient cave, there's all these symbols of like dolphin-like figures coming out of a flying saucer, and all the drawings on the earth show Sirius, and then Sirius B, which wasn't even known, until I think like 40 years ago, or it wasn't even discovered. So and then he went to, I think it was Peru, and he saw talked to the elders there, and found that they had a similar story, that these beings from Sirius came and taught them and helped them to, that's where they came from. And so it's fascinating. So if you want it, the ancient secret, well, it's all in the notes. I kept putting in the notes. But he talks about Sirius B as being more of the mer people, obviously the dolphins. And he says Sirians are much older than the human race and frequently send messages to humans to help them remember their purpose on Earth. Their mission is to raise the vibration and aid the beings of this planet in their quest to connect with source energy. They are considered to be spiritual warriors. Sirius is home, known to be home, which I know to be true as well, because Magdalene will talk to me about this. An advanced training centers or universities known as the mystery schools, so where the Ascended Masters travel to learn. The Sirians helped build the pyramids and temples of Egypt, which explains why they were aligned with Sirius. And that's all from, so if you want to explore more. So I think that was just the first paragraph in the book. So like I feel like she just kind of went boom, 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 boom. Like, I was born December 25th. I'm from another star system. I was prophesied. I came through the book of life. And then I don't think I'm going to get through as much as I thought I'd get through. This might take us a while. We might be here for a couple of years, guys. Talking. Anybody want to comment on any of that, or? There's in the chat. Let me see.
I would like to just say, I think the Akashic Records is supposed to be the recording of every human who has ever lived and every moment of their lives.
Yes.
The book
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Barb. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Just make sure I didn't miss anybody. Okay. So then she goes on to say, I was born to my mother, known as Helen, and my father, known by his friends and family as Benjamin. The Star of Bethlehem was a midpoint star that rose in the nighttime sky to point the way for my arrival to the great wise men. The wise men were knowledgeable in the ways of the mysteries. So the wise men, I was saying earlier, well, we know the Magi from Persia, and the wise men as the Magi. So Magi, that's one of the mystery schools, and they were they were men proficient in the knowledge of math. This is from who's this from? Early Church History, a website. Mathematical calculations, astronomy, medicine, astrology, alchemy, dream interpretation, and history, as well as practitioners of magic and paranormal activity. And the ancient kings needed and relied upon the Magi for advice and discernment. They came from the east, which would have been Persia, Assyria, and Babylonia, now called Iran and Iraq. So, but just so you know, so the Magi are part of the mystery school traditions, a branch of it. She says, I was named Miriam, a direct descendant of the bloodline of Benjamin. I came to aid the masses, to awaken the heart of many. Okay, so yeah, let me talk about, so why does she talk about the bloodline of Benjamin? So Benjamin, and I don't know my Old Testament. If anybody here knows their Old Testament, feel free to speak up. But she
I know a little
repeatedly,
bit. Yeah, Benjamin was the last child of the 12 tribes, of the
Mhm.
12 brothers, and he's the last tribe that
Mhm.
formed. Each
son
brother-
of Jacob, right? The Latin. Okay, God, the last.
and he
one.
was the second son of Rachel. Rachel had Jacob, I believe, and then I'm sorry, I'm confusing it. I'm sorry. Don't let me talk anymore because I'm getting confused. Sorry.
Okay. So, and I messed up my notes. So his connection to Saul, but what I have from Benjamin,
Mary,
so Benjamin, son of Jacob. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say before you start that in some of the reading I've done, the house of Benjamin was prophesied to, the daughter from the house of Benjamin was prophesied to be married to the Messiah. But in those times, the Messiah was really thought of more as the king, the leader.
Right.
And so that's all I wanted to say. There are
Do
so
you
many
know?
different.
Do you know where it comes from? The prophecy.
The prophecy? I think it was from Elijah or Micah. Sorry.
Micah. Oh, I was going to read.
Yeah.
I was going to read Micah. Well, because I have
Probably
a
from
couple of the prophecies, because she keeps talking about that she was prophesied. And I found in Revelation mentions, okay, well, 12,000 people from the tribe of Benjamin receiving a seal from the Holy Spirit. And then from Moses in Deuteronomy, the beloved of the Lord shall dwell safely by him, who shelters him all day long, and he shall dwell between his shoulders. Okay, yeah. And then I have another one from Micah. Where's my Bible? I lost it.
Who is Micah?
Micah is from the Old Testament, one of the prophets. And he talks about the Magdalene. I think he calls it the Magdalene. The term. But I was looking and for all those and researching and looking, because she tells me all the time. All right, where'd they go? Oh, I had it saved and now I don't have it. Well, anyway, maybe next time I'll find, I lost my page saver. In Micah, it talks about the Magdalene and the tower and the prophesied of Mary Magdalene, as a I don't want to put words out, but he speaks about her as the Magdalene and the Tower of Strength. So just like Anne said. So the significance, I think, of the line of Benjamin too is because then she goes to talk about Jesus being from the descendants of David is because of the Benjaminites were exiled. So and then like so there were the 12 tribes, correct me if I'm wrong, 12 tribes, but then they were exiled because some bad things happened. And but then Jesus, son of the line of David, so it's the uniting and bringing back of the tribes. There's a lot of prophecies and talking about that as well. And she just says that actually in the right, and uniting. So then she goes on to talk about, which I've kind of talked a little bit about in that last class. And then she lets go of all of that ancestral conversation, and she talks about the Magdalene structural template being awakened, a template of the divine mother energies, allowing the new bloodline to be established through the voice of the Magdalene. I am the Magdalene. So she talks about the new bloodline a lot. And so I feel like that's why she was also talking about the bloodline of Benjamin, the bloodline of David, and all of these things. But now she's talking about the new bloodline, which we are all part of, as carrying this Magdalene template, which is the divine feminine, which she brings, which she carries. The voice of the divine feminine is a voice of strength, and the Magdalene structural template holds the tower of strength and power. It brings a fiery burning away of the old structures to give voice to the new. My work, together with the Master Yeshua, will bring the melding of the feminine and masculine and lift the veil of forgetfulness, the separated state. So,
Are those her acts that she says? Because she says, through my consecrated acts, I would bring alignment to those who seek the full Christ structure. And a little bit before, are those the acts when she is coming through to us, and we are representing her voice? I'm just curious if that's what she means by acts.
well, yes, my interpretation is that she is speaking of her acts then, in that lifetime, in that incarnation, and now that they're consecrated. She's a priestess. She's a high priestess, and because I think of consecrated acts as acts of a priest or a priestess, and yeah, but her actions, her work now.
What book is this? I'm sorry, I had come in late.
This is my book. Sorry.
Yes,
This is the book I
but what's
channeled
the
from
book?
Mary Mac.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry?
And you just call it the Magdalene? Okay.
The Magdalene Temple of the Divine Feminine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then she goes on to, anybody else want to talk about any of that? The Magdalene. So I want to speak to people who these words are not so familiar. When she speaks through me, speaks of this Magdalene template, which is sometimes she says to me, it's a template of light. It's a blueprint. It's a blueprint of the divine feminine, and it's being embedded in each of us as Magdalenes, and all of us, and whoever we reach out to, whoever we're with, as we continue our work holding this vibration of the divine feminine, this template of light. It activates others as well. So it's and we'll get into more of what the divine feminine is. I mean, I think all of us here know the divine feminine, but she also talks about that this is her time. This is the time of the awakening. This is the time when the crystalline structures are awakened. So the crystal grid system came online right in 2012, and that because of that, the earth is awakening to the Christ consciousness, is moving into the Christ, the state of the coming of the Christ light, is what she says.
Oh, Mary, can I just quickly share something?
Oh yeah,
Tracy,
Tracy.
I had recently learned, which was really fascinating, when you talk about her being from a different star system, you know, being from Sirius, and then you're talking about the bloodlines. What's so interesting that I recently understood is that, you know, we're all part of a council. And what I learned was I'm part of, I guess, the Council of Five. And the Council of Five is very much connected to working with the groups that have, you know, these bloodlines, these ancient bloodlines. And the significance of those bloodlines apparently was that initially they held like the DNA that was merged with like these alien beings. So that way, when it came to the ascension process, these bloodlines, I guess, really were able to facilitate like the returning of the 12 strand DNA that we were able to hold, I guess, you know, and because we had these alien aspects, like, I guess what I'm saying is like the ascension like we're able to birth the ascension process much easier in our physical world. So I just thought that was really
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I know, you know, it is fascinating. And you know, I'm trying to stay focused on the information that in the beginning of the book, but we can talk more to that, all of that, the bloodlines. But yeah, she talks that we're the new bloodline, and we are stepping into the Christ self, and moving into, what does she call us? The new human. She calls us the new human. She has another term.
Can I ask you a question about that, Mary?
Yeah.
How would she best advise us to step into that?
Well, we are, where do I begin? This is her invitation to help you to step into it. What you draw to you to allow the activation of your DNA, of your cellular memory. And so we're spending time in the quiet. That's why she talks about spending time in the quiet and moving into a place of receiving. I don't know if everyone felt there was some new frequencies coming in last night. So when we become more and more attuned to and connected with the higher realms, we are able to more fully integrate these frequencies, these new frequencies that aid in the activation of the wisdom codes, the codes of light of who we are. But that is the purpose of this right now. This is part of it. You're drawn here today, and this is, even though we're a little bit in our heads a little bit, there's an activation process that's occurring with our presence here together. It's waking up.
Can I share something, Mary? Because according to what you just said, I'm you know, I have a cold, so I was saying, oh, I'm not going to get up for my bike ride, my sunrise. And for some reason at 5 a.m. I was like wide awake, and it was calling me to go and see the sunrise. And I have the chills when I say it. And I went there, and I had a mystical experience, and the sunrise was unbelievable. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, and I heard that the Magdalene say, this is the light. This is the light that you are carrying now as one of the Magdalenes. And this is the light that you, and I was crying in gratitude. It was so beautiful. It was like a powerful experience. And as I'm riding my bike, and it was like, this is what it's not, you know, this is what has been put in you to help others to experience this light inside. And she was comparing it to the sun that was rising. So beautiful.
Sun rising. Yeah.
I didn't know that there was a powerful thing during the night, but I felt when I woke up.
I mean, my meditations, all she talked about was the new life that's entering each of us. And I think I have a cold too because of this new life that's entering. It's a little overwhelming, but yeah. But and who asked me that question? I lost track of everybody.
It was me on,
Somebody-
Dana? Oh, okay.
and I'm sorry.
So I can speak maybe a little bit to that, Mary. I don't
Okay.
know if it will help anybody, but I've been working with you for, I don't know, 13, 14, 15 years. I don't know when we started, 2008. And I was always looking for that path. Where does she want me to go? Let me find it. Let me find it. And it wasn't until I finally said, I'm done looking, that magically the path is put before you and the doors open. So I feel like I had to get to a place where I stopped trying to figure out where I was supposed to go and what I was supposed to do.
Mm.
And as the path opens, I'm going, really? You want me on this path?
Yeah.
So
Well, and then there's the external path, like the work. This is the path is within us. All of it's within us.
right.
And it's as I spend time in the quiet, and I know what you're saying. It's like this aching in your heart of something. Like, what is it? Like you just ache, and I still ache for more. Like what? And in the beginning, it was maybe my waking up process of, it was just so magical and beautiful and connection and all of that. And that continues to be. And then there's a point where you reach where they say, okay, now you service, you're
Right.
called to service.
Well, I
So
think when I
it's all,
say
so
that,
there's these paths, that
Right.
are, yeah.
and I think as the path opened and I followed, it shifted. That's what shifted me internally. I would do a different external work, and then I would realize I'm different. I'm just different,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. And as Anne said, surrender to guidance. Yeah. It's total, it's the feminine. This is this book, the teachings, her presence, and so many, it's all about, it's the divine feminine. So we're receiving, we're allowing, we're surrendering, we're moving, it's, I don't even know the right verb, being, and from there it all just unfolds, and that's the co-creative process. But it, as much as I'm joyful that all of you are here, and there's a synchronicity to all of it, all of this information is in you. So it's just like we're just kind of sharing and going, oh yeah, I remember this. Oh yeah, I remember that. And then moving into the quiet and surrendering to our own inner guidance of, and letting go of so much of the old, so we can make space for who we are, and that's the importance of the feminine now. It's not the doing, it's the being. So yeah, and that in our presence, in our waking up, we wait the codes, we carry these key codes within us that wake up the wisdom, the wisdom within the crystalline grid systems. We wake the earth up. We carry these templates within us, and as we wake up, the earth and all those with us are waking up. So the work is the inner work. And so she goes on to talk about that and talk about the abundance of life, and not meaning, she was just talking to me about that this morning, abundance, an abundant life. And she always say that to me. And Lakshmi will come in sometimes. And there's the flow. I forget who I was listening to, but recently, and they were talking about abundance as a flow. It's the flow of everything coming to you, everything that you require. It's not anything material, but all our needs, all our we're just in a place of abundance. So that's the feminine, and that's what we carry as well. And that's what's waking up on the earth as well. So let's see. Yeah, we talked about the feminine, and yeah, the whole rest of the introduction is all about what the feminine is, the seeking of inner truths. And she talks about the time period that she was in, where they my name has been torn asunder by those who sought to diminish these teachings, who sought the ways of the external world. They held still the tongue of the female child. They were afraid of seeking of inner truths, because right then they don't have the power. We have our own power. And she says, I would aid each of you in the ways of the feminine, the ways of the quiet and still mind. I would aid you so that you may receive the full cup of blessing that dwells within. The abundance of life, that the abundance of life may be awakened, and you may know your true name. Each of you who receives my teachings will find a new voice within them. And this voice is the voice of the divine, the Christ child born again from within your cell structures, through the divine union, the sacred marriage of old. It is only through the silence and the ways of the natural world that man may know all. These are the ways of the feminine.
What does that mean,
So-
Mary? What I interpreted is like the silence for me is meditation.
Yes.
That's how I saw
Yeah.
have my
The quiet mind. The
the ways
silence.
of the natural world. Does that mean to be in nature, or does that mean to
Yeah.
be people? I don't
Yeah. The feminine is nature. It's the earth. So it's being in nature, and also the study of a flower, the study of water, just because it contains within it the mysteries, the understanding of the world we live in, and all we talk about, like the spirals in nature and the Fibonacci sequence and all of that, but just being in nature. And in the next chapter, the Magdalene talks about going into the forest with her father, and he would teach her. He knew the importance of the natural world, and that's how he taught her, in nature, in the forests. And yeah, so that's in answer to the earlier question. That's what she's saying. As much as we're here today, that each of us, we want so much, like the class or the, and sometimes it's synchronistically, it happens. It's the information you need, or the particular channel that you need to receive a coding, but it's all just waking up what's within us. So moving into the quiet, and I just remembered one other thing that she said to me this morning was, they need, how did she say it? It was for you guys. It was, you need to schedule better. Something like that. Like, you need to schedule better to allot time for yourselves in the quiet. Like I need like 2 hours in the morning. I need 2 hours of meditation, of journaling, writing, maybe even 3 when I have to get out, and I have to get out in nature. Doesn't always happen, but that's what I need. And sometimes it's split up, but she's with you, and as she says to me, I'm moving within you. Sometimes she'll tell me I'm fighting her. I'm not allow me in more fully. She wants to work with each of us, and it's the voice when she speaks. It's the voice of the Magdalene. It's the voice of the Divine Mother. It's the feminine. It's all of it. But she's moving within you, and is wanting to speak, wanting to help you to find your voice, your inner voice of the feminine. So because we're each voices being called to this work. So schedule better. She said it better than that. I can't remember how she said it, but it was kind of, I was like, what? Who are you talking about? She said the class. The time management. That's what she said. Time management.
Yikes.
Time management, you need, because it's the single, it's the most, that's why we're here. You know, we get like so much of our lives. I have a special needs son who's homesick today. Like you could feel like the world, like, how do I find the time? How do I find the space? I literally just lock myself in my bathroom or something and just find the quiet, because it's so important. It's the single most important part of your life, the reason for your being here. And we're each being called. That's why we're here. We're each Magdalenes. So I feel like I don't want to go any, I was going to do the whole, I don't know how I thought I was going to get through that and the first chapter, but apparently I'm not. So because I feel like an hour is plenty, but I do want to do like a final blessing. I know some of you might have had to leave, but you can watch the recording, and I'm just going to do whatever she wants to share, final transmission, a blessing, whatever she wants to share with each of you. So if you're still here with me and you have a quiet spot, you just settle in. Let me just check on this one chat. I am present. I guide you each to remember, to be still and to know. It is time in the quiet that is required of each of you so that you may remember your truth as beings of light, as vehicles for the ascension of the earth. You have been called forth to remember in this present moment, in this now time. Receive now my blessings upon you. As I stir the cellular memory of old, as I ignite you from within, the heart and its magnetic pull awakens. You are guided by many. And so I call you to receive. To allow the unfolding of the path within you as you are ignited. Gather yourselves now. You are known and you are seen. And many of the high heavens are present here. The Brotherhood of Light. You are each called forth, receptacles of light. Allow now the temple to be established within you. In 1 month, I will speak to you of my childhood years, of all that I sought to know and be. I would aid you in remembering this time cycle, as it will ignite you, a deep knowing we begin. So that's the final blessing. As much as we've received information, or allow the information to be received into your heart and to resonate and awaken what lies within you. And I'd love to hear from you in our class next month. Hear what new reflections, information, inspirations come. We'll do chapter 1 next time, and we can just take as long as we want. There's no schedule.
So
to
what
get
is,
through.
what's the October date?
Where's my phone? It's it's always the 4th. I'm sorry, the 1st Wednesday of the month, but it's October 4th. It's October 4th. And I'll record it again, and I will send this the notes that I took of the topics we talked about to you. And thank you all for being here. This was fun. It's so nice to like connect with all of you in this way. I know I love to channel and do all of that, but it's so nice to just share and be together. So thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you next month. I do have the Magdalene, the self-study, which is a channel course coming up. I think I'm going to need to postpone it till October. So if you're signed up, you're going to see an email from me, just because I have some conflicts with my dates. But look on my website if you want to be part of that. There are transmissions to activate and heal the ancestral lineage, the early childhood years, programming to help us wake up to the child of light within us. So I'd love to have, if you haven't taken it before. Have a beautiful day, everyone. It's so good to see you all.
Wonderful. Thank you,
Thank
Mary.
you. Thank you so much,
Bye.
Mary.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary. Sorry I
Welcome.
was late.
Oh, that's okay. You get the recording. You
just
can watch it.
I know I'm gonna watch the recording. So when you said Mary, when you said that she said the Magdalene said, you do better with your time. That's
Oh,
exactly.
that was for
yes,
you.
that was for me because it was right as like I stopped and you were like,
And I was talking about it.
and then
Oh,
you said
that's so funny.
That's exactly when you were talking about it. Yes. That's
Okay.
exactly when you
Well,
said it.
I still think you shouldn't take full responsibility.
Everybody
I still
said
think
that.
all of us could do better with our setting aside time for ourselves, but that's pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I took it. Now I have to act on it. Be on time. Be on
Be on
time.
time.
Be on time and take time. Right.
And take time. Yeah.
Take time. Well,
Okay,
I'm gonna
well, have
listen
a
to
beautiful-
can I listen to the replay now?
It'll take a few
Is
minutes to
it-
come
or-
back down from the cloud, and then I'll send it out like within 15 minutes or so. I'll have
Okay,
it.
good. All right, because I'm
Okay.
out in nature. So
Oh,
I'm
good.
going to make the best of it since I was late.
Okay. All right. Well, everyone have a beautiful day.
right.
I
You
will talk to you
too.
next
Thank
month.
you, Mary.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.